So I've made many Wii tutorials in the past. You might have seen some of those if you've ever homebrewed a Wii. And a lot of people have asked me to make Nintendo Switch homebrew tutorials. Now, I've always replied basically with no, I don't recommend, but I've never really explained why. And the main reason to this is that there are many risks to modding a Switch, as with any console really. Console modding can generally bring a lot of benefits, but also many consequences if things go sideways. The thing with Wii modding, in my opinion, is that it is very simple and easy to understand. I feel like Wii homebrew is just easily accessible to anyone with the right tools. But my main issue with Switch modding compared to other consoles are the extra measures Nintendo has taken. This video is not meant to prevent you from homebrewing your Switch. If you want to do it, then by all means do it. I just want to warn you of a few things if you do want to homebrew your Switch, because there are many benefits of doing so. One of the main benefits is the legacy content you can access through emulators. Ever want to play Sonic Riders on the go? Go right ahead! You can also access custom themes and menus, which is a feature Nintendo has personally neglected. Even installing mods or custom levels for your favorite games. Ever want to play as Parappa the Rapper on Mario Kart? Sure, why not? There are many benefits of modding a Switch, but there are also consequences and risks. I already mentioned how Nintendo has taken measures to prevent any sort of illicit modding. Now, say what you will about Nintendo's anti-consumer business practices, I actually already made a video about this, but to be fair, I honestly agree with what they're doing here. Now, piracy is a big issue here. Now, I'm not saying that this is the majority of people who are looking to mod their Switch, but with that power, there's always the possibility of piracy. We all know that Nintendo is heavily against people accessing their games through illegal methods, as evidenced by Nintendo shutting down ROM websites. Now, that's just all retro and legacy content they're taking down. Just imagine how they would see Switch modding if you could get games they're still selling and supporting for free. This is why I agree with Nintendo, because like it or not, piracy is stealing at the end of the day, especially if the content is still being sold by normal means. Anyway, so why shouldn't you mod a Switch? That is the topic of the video. First things first, there is always the possibility of your console getting bricked. Modding a Nintendo Switch is not an easy process, and like modding any console, one mistake can cost your system's life. Unlike the Wii, homebrewing a Switch is more than just slapping some files on an SD card and calling it a day. Homebrewing a Switch actually requires tampering with the physical hardware itself. Yeah, it still requires putting files on an SD card, but there's much more to it now, and thus more room for error. Now, let's say you successfully mod your Switch. Well, that doesn't mean it's really safe from getting bricked in the future. Whatever emulator, custom firmware, or mod you decide to install on your Switch, there's a high chance something could easily go wrong. This damage may be reversible, but those chances are definitely not high. Risk number 2. You will inevitably lose access to all online services. This means no more multiplayer, Switch Online, or anything that requires internet connectivity. This may not mean much to anyone who mainly plays single-player games like myself, but it's still something to keep in mind. It's always nice to have online connectivity regardless if you use it or not, in my opinion. But this is really just a minor inconvenience at the end of the day. And risk number 3. Your account and your console could possibly get banned. If Nintendo finds out you modded your console, then they will most likely ban it, or even worse, your Nintendo account. This will make you lose access to all of your games, DLC, and whatever you purchased in the past. And if your console does get banned, don't think that you can just go buy a new Switch and everything will be all fine and dandy. No. Nintendo will immediately ban that console if you try to log into your account. These are the extra measures I mentioned earlier in the video. Are they too much? Well, I don't think so, to be honest. Now, are all these risks worth the benefits? Well, that's up to you. I personally don't have any intentions of modding my Switch anytime soon due to these reasons. Just keep in mind that, in my opinion, I agree with Nintendo here. Piracy is a real issue, especially for games that are still being sold, and I do not condone it whatsoever. Now, I know many people wanting to homebrew a Switch may not want to use it for piracy, and in that case, there's really nothing wrong. Do what you want. If it's not hurting anybody, then why not? But that small percent of Switch owners can unfortunately ruin the fun for everybody. So for those reasons, I do not recommend Switch modding. If you want to mod your Switch for emulation, then, well, there are a ton of other outlets to do so. Many emulators and heck, even homebrew on other consoles exist to where you can play that legacy content. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope that cleared some things up. If you want to mod your Switch, then just keep these things in mind. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and end off today's video, guys. I hope this really cleared some things up about why I will never make a Switch modding tutorial, at least anytime soon, or until Nintendo ends support for the console. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.